Chapter 1. The Hunt. Blood hit the snow before he did. Draven stumbled through the pines, breath ragged, silver burning through his veins like liquid fire. The night was too quiet, too still. And, just like that, everything changed. A single howl echoed behind him, close enough to taste the malice in it. He pushed harder. His claws tore through frostbitten soil. But then another dart struck his shoulder. The world tilted. Still, he ran. Because of that unyielding instinct that refused to die, even when his body screamed surrender. His vision blurred, edges darkening until the moon fractured into twin orbs above him. "Coward," one of the LYCANs shouted from somewhere behind. "The council wants your head." Draven's growl tore through the cold. It was primal, broken, half human, half monster. He wanted to turn, to fight, but his legs gave out. His chest hit the ground, snow exploding around him. The metallic scent of his own blood filled his nose. Her wolf pressed forward inside, whispering survive. And then, silence. Footsteps, light, hesitant, approached through the snow. Not LYCANs. Not hunters. Too soft. Too careful. Human. He bared his fangs, a rumble rising deep in his chest. "Stay back." The words came out rough, distorted. His body twitched with pain. But the footsteps didn't retreat. Her scent reached him first. Sweet, warm, alive. Like spring cutting through winter's heart. The beast inside him stilled, confused. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't force the growl back to life. Truth be told, he'd forgotten what mercy smelled like. The silver burned deeper. The darkness closed in. By the time her shadow fell over him, he was half gone, half man, half memory. "Please." Her voice trembled. "You're hurt." Her voice didn't belong in his world. His claws flexed weakly in the snow. He should have killed her, ended the witness, erased the risk. But instead, his eyes met hers, and something inside him cracked. The cold bit deeper. His heartbeat slowed. Before he could move, she reached out, her hand shaking, breath visible in the air, and touched his fur. And the mark woke. Fire licked through his veins. His vision exploded with light. His beast roared in agony. Yet even so, under the weight of that pain, he heard her gasp, soft, human, terrified. The scent of her fear. The warmth of her touch. The pull of something ancient. He'd been hunted by kings and monsters alike. But never had death looked this gentle. Her voice broke through the haze. "I'll help you." He wanted to tell her to run. To leave before his curse bled onto her soul. But no sound came. Only her scent. Only her warmth. What followed was nothing short of impossible. The Alpha King fell beneath human hands, and lived. Chapter 2. The Touch of a Human. Snow glowed blue beneath the moonlight. Lyra knelt beside the massive wolf, her breath catching at the sight of silver seared into fur and flesh. She didn't know what scared her more, the blood, or the way his golden eyes followed her every move. Still, she couldn't walk away. "Easy," she whispered, even though her heart hammered hard enough to make her chest ache. "You'll die if I don't take it out." The wolf growled, low and rough, but didn't move. As the wind shifted, his scent hit her: wild pine, smoke, and something darker. It rolled over her senses like a storm. Her hands shook as she reached for the dart. "I'm sorry," she breathed, yanking it free. He flinched. The sound he made wasn't animal. It was pain made flesh. "Shh," Lyra soothed, pressing a cloth to the wound. You're okay." Her voice trembled. Her soul didn't believe the lie. The beast's breathing slowed, eyes flickering between gold and shadow. His body trembled, torn between man and monster. Her world tilted when his gaze locked on hers. The air thickened. Her breath caught. The space between them burned with something that didn't belong in this world. In that moment, her pulse matched his. And then the impossible, his fur shimmered, and under her trembling palm, heat bloomed. A mark, faintly glowing, spread beneath her touch, like moonlight trapped in flesh. She gasped. What are you?" He rasped, voice rough, half human now. "Run." She froze. "I said run." His growl tore through the night, the snow quivering around them. But she didn't. Instead, she looked into his pain and whispered, "No." Between one breath and the next, something ancient stirred. The air around them shimmered. Power thrummed like a heartbeat between two worlds. The mark burned brighter. Draven's thoughts fractured. This can't be happening. A human couldn't awaken the mark, it was bound to the bloodline of kings. His beast snarled, but his heart listened. The silver no longer burned. Her scent drowned it out. He wanted to hate her for it, for making him feel again. But hate was the one weapon he no longer had. That night, the hunter became the hunted by fate itself. Chapter 3. The Mark Awakens. Lyra dragged his massive body through the snow, gritting her teeth as her arms screamed in protest. He was impossibly heavy, impossibly warm. "Come on," she panted. "Just a little more." Behind them, distant howls sliced the night. What's worse, she recognized the tone. It wasn't ordinary wolves. It was them. "Stay with me," she murmured, even though she wasn't sure he could hear. "Please." Meanwhile, inside his fading consciousness, Draven's mind split between the beast's instinct to flee and the man's urge to protect. Every heartbeat was agony. The mark pulsed in sync with hers. Her wolf pressed forward. Her soul answered. The glow of the mark was visible even beneath his fur now, etching ancient sigils that hadn't been seen since the blood pact was sealed. Because of that, power stirred across the lands. Miles away, in a throne room of black stone, Alpha Varen lifted his head. "The king," he hissed. "He's been marked by a mortal." The council chamber erupted. Back in the forest, Lyra finally reached her cabin. She stumbled through the door, dragging the wolf onto a blanket near the fire. His body twitched, caught between form and fury. Her breath caught when his hand, not paw, gripped her wrist. His voice was barely a whisper. "You should have let me die." Her eyes filled. "I couldn't." He stared at her, eyes burning like molten gold. "Then you've doomed us both." The fire crackled, shadows dancing across his half-changed form. Outside, the forest held its breath. Inside, two hearts beat as one curse woke. And in that quiet moment, fate smiled. The king of beasts had fallen, to a human touch. Chapter 4. Between Fire and Flesh. The storm broke before dawn. Wind howled through the cabin's cracks, carrying the scent of danger, wet fur, blood, and smoke. Lyra's heart thudded as she knelt beside the fire. The wolf, no, the man, lay half-shifted on her blanket, his body trembling with pain. The glow of the mark pulsed faintly between them. Still, she couldn't look away. His skin was fever-hot, muscles coiled like a predator even in sleep. "You shouldn't be real," she whispered. Without warning, his hand shot up, gripping her wrist. "Where am I?" The voice, deep, rough, commanding, made her breath catch. "In my cabin," she said softly. "You were hurt. I helped you." He released her slowly, eyes flickering gold. "You shouldn't have." As the silence stretched, his gaze drifted to the faint glow between them. The mark, it shouldn't exist. Her brows furrowed. "What mark?" His expression darkened. "The one that binds souls." The words hung heavy. He pushed himself upright, every movement controlled, dangerous. His scars caught the firelight, slashes old and new. Each one told a story of survival and loss. "Who are you?" she asked, unable to stop herself. He hesitated, then said, "Draven." The name rolled through the air like thunder. She swallowed. "Draven," she repeated, as if testing the shape of it. "You're not human, are you?" "Human?" His laugh was bitter. "I was once. Before the curse." The fire crackled. The mark between them flared in response. She shivered. "What curse?" His gaze locked on hers. "The kind that kills everything I touch." Her chest ached at the quiet despair behind his words. "Then why am I still alive?" His eyes softened, just slightly. "Maybe it's because you weren't supposed to find me. Or maybe she thought I was." Outside, the wind shifted again, carrying distant howls. Draven rose to his full height, the air thickening with his presence. "They found me." Her pulse spiked. "Who?" "The council's hounds." He turned to the door, muscles tightening, every inch of him radiating lethal purpose. "Stay here." Lyra grabbed his arm. "You can't fight them like this." He looked at her hand on his skin, then at her eyes. "Watch me." The mark burned hotter, threads of light sparking between their skin. Before she could move, his form blurred, bones cracking, for erupting, the beast unleashed. Beneath the moonlight, the Alpha King rose once more. Chapter 5. The Hunt Returns. Snow erupted as Draven burst from the cabin, his roar shattering the silence. Lyra ran to the door, her breath fogging in the icy air. Shadows darted between the trees, massive figures, wolves with crimson eyes and armor etched with silver sigils. The Council's enforcers. The moment their eyes locked on Draven, they lunged. He met them head-on. Claws clashed. Teeth tore. The forest screamed. Every blow was brutal, primal. Yet even so, she saw the exhaustion in him, the tremor in his steps, the way the silver still burned his veins. Still, he fought. Lyra couldn't look away. Her heart pounded with fear, awe, and something deeper, something she couldn't name. And, just like that, everything changed. One of the LYCANs broke through Draven's guard, slashing across his chest. He fell to one knee. "No," she cried, dashing into the storm. Her body moved on instinct. Her wolf pressed forward. Before she could think, she grabbed a burning log from the fire and swung it at the nearest enforcer. Flames burst, singed, and the creature yelped in pain. Draven's head snapped toward her. "I told you to stay inside. I'm not leaving you." Her voice trembled, but her stance held. In that moment, something inside him shifted. His fury wasn't just rage anymore, it was fear. For her. As the wind howled, he lunged at the last enforcer, breaking its neck with a sickening crack. Silence fell. Blood steamed in the snow. Lyra dropped the log, shaking. "Is it over?" Draven's chest rose and fell, his body trembling as the beast slowly receded. For now. He turned toward her, eyes blazing gold. "You shouldn't have come out." She stepped closer. "And you shouldn't have fought alone." The air thickened. His gaze dropped to her lips, then the glowing mark between them. With every heartbeat, it pulsed faster. The space between them burned. Her breath caught. His hand lifted, hovering near her cheek. But before he could touch her, the mark flared, searing bright, and a force threw them apart. Both gasped. "What was that?" she whispered. "The bond," he growled. "It's awakening." Far away, in the frozen halls of the council, a voice whispered through the shadows. "Find the girl. She carries the king's curse." Chapter 6. The Price of a Bond. That night, neither of them slept. Lyra sat by the fire, wrapped in a blanket, watching Draven's silhouette. His back was to her, the mark on his neck still glowing faintly through his shirt. She wanted to speak, but the silence between them was fragile like glass. Finally, she said, "You saved me." He didn't turn. "You shouldn't thank me. I doomed you instead." She frowned. "You keep saying that. Why?" He faced her then, eyes shadowed. "Because when the mark binds, it doesn't just link power, it links fate. My enemies will hunt you now. My curse will bleed into you." Her voice softened. "Then we face it together." His jaw clenched. "You don't understand. My curse kills love." Her chest ached. "Maybe it hasn't met me yet." Draven froze. The firelight painted her face gold, her eyes full of something he hadn't seen in centuries, faith. Her words struck deeper than any blade. He turned away, pacing. "The bond isn't mercy, Lyra. It's a weapon. The council made it so that no heart could survive its pull. Then maybe the council doesn't know what hearts are for." Her voice trembled, but it didn't break. For the first time, Draven smiled, barely, painfully. "You're either very brave or very foolish. Maybe both." Silence settled again, heavy with everything unsaid. As the fire crackled, he looked at her, truly looked, and something inside him yielded. As if summoned, his wolf stirred, restless beneath his skin. The mark burned brighter. Lyra felt it too, heat spreading through her chest, a pulse so deep it felt like gravity itself. Her breath caught. His hand lifted toward her face. Her world tilted. And just like that, everything changed. When his fingertips brushed her cheek, time stood still. The bond pulsed. The air shimmered. Their hearts beat once, twice, as one. In that moment, the curse didn't feel like death, it felt like destiny. But destiny, she'd soon learn, always comes at a price. Chapter 7. The Silence Before the Storm. The forest was still. Too still. Lyra could hear her own heartbeat echoing against the stone walls of the old cabin where Draven had taken shelter. Moonlight spilled through the cracked roof, tracing silver lines across his skin, half-healed wounds glinting like ghost scars. For the first time since she'd found him, he looked almost human. She sat beside him, wrapping the last strip of bandage around his arm. "You heal faster than anything I've ever seen," she whispered, forcing a shaky laugh. Draven's golden eyes opened, slow, cautious. "You shouldn't be here." His voice was rough, each word dragged through pain and instinct. "Too late for that," she murmured. "You'd be dead if I wasn't." The silence stretched. Outside, the wind shifted, carrying the scent of rain and blood. His gaze flicked toward the door. "Hunters?" she asked. He didn't answer, but his nostrils flared. That was enough. Lyra's stomach twisted. "They're coming again, aren't they?" He rose, unsteady but lethal, his movements smooth despite the exhaustion. "They won't stop," he said quietly. "Not until they burn this forest to ash." Her breath caught. "Then we run." He turned, and under the weight of his stare, she forgot how to breathe. "Run." His tone was low, dangerous. "There's no running from what's marked us." The faint glow pulsing between them, flared, responding to his words. Heat seared beneath her skin, wild and alive. She bit back a gasp. "What is this, Draven?" she whispered. "Why does it feel like you're inside my head?" He stepped closer, the air thickening. "Because I am." His voice dropped to a growl. "The bond doesn't just tie us, it merges us. Every heartbeat, every fear, every desire." Her heart stumbled. "That's insane." "Maybe." He tilted his head, studying her like she was both threat and salvation. "But when you touched me, you awakened something I thought was long dead." Before she could respond, thunder cracked, sharp and sudden. The cabin shuddered. Draven's eyes snapped toward the door. "They've found us." Lyra grabbed the tranquilizer gun she'd hidden beneath the table. "Then let them come." A ghost of a smile flickered across his lips. "Brave little human." The first howl ripped through the night, deep, furious, close. Draven's hands trembled. The beast within him surged, bones straining, eyes burning gold. He turned to her, voice raw. "When it happens, don't run from me." She didn't understand until his body began to twist, for breaking through skin, tendons snapping, breath turning into a guttural snarl. The mark between them flared like fire. And, just like that, everything changed. Chapter 8. The Beast Unleashed. The air shattered. One heartbeat, he was man. The next, monster. Draven's body convulsed as bones cracked and realigned, sinews stretching beneath moonlight that poured through the ruined cabin roof. His growl rumbled low, primal, as if the earth itself trembled to answer him. Lyra stumbled back, heart slamming against her ribs. "Draven!" He roared, a sound so raw it split the night. His skin rippled, silver fur bursting forth. His eyes burned gold, wild and untamed. The mark between them blazed like molten fire. And yet, she didn't run. Maybe it was fate. Maybe it was madness. But her instincts whispered stay. Outside, claws scraped against bark. Shadows flickered. The hunters had arrived. Through the shattered window, she saw them, shapes darting between trees, eyes gleaming like red coals. Draven turned toward the noise, his massive frame trembling under the weight of the change. He was both beautiful and terrifying, power and agony woven together. "Draven, please," she whispered, voice trembling. "You're losing control." His head snapped toward her. For a moment, she saw recognition, just a flicker, behind the beast's glare. The bond pulsed in her veins. Her chest ached, her breath catching as his scent filled the air, earth, smoke, and something ancient. Come back to me, she said softly. Don't let them take you again. The words hit him like a command. His growl faltered. His claws flexed. But then a dart struck his shoulder. He howled, stumbling. Silver. No! Lyra screamed, diving toward him. She ripped the dart free, her fingers burning from the silver's touch. Smoke rose where it touched his skin. From the trees, a voice rang out. Cold. Cruel. Step away from the beast, girl. Lyra froze. A tall figure emerged from the shadows, a man cloaked in black, eyes silver like the moon. Alpha Varen. The hunter. The council's blade. Impossible, he muttered, eyes narrowing at the mark that glowed on her wrist. A mortal bound to the king? You've doomed us all. Draven snarled, staggering to his feet. The ground quaked with his fury. Varen, he growled, voice distorted, half man, half beast. Stay. Away. From her. Varen smiled, calm as a serpent. Still protecting your curse, I see. He lifted his hand, and the forest erupted. Dozens of LYCANs poured from the trees, their eyes glinting silver, their movements disciplined and deadly. Lyra's pulse pounded. There was no way out. Draven shifted fully then, massive, black as shadow, his claws carving into the earth. He lunged, his roar shaking the air. The first LYCAN met him head-on and was thrown aside like a rag doll. Lyra fired the tranquilizer, hitting one in the neck. Another came from behind. Draven intercepted, jaws snapping. Blood sprayed, metallic and hot in the air. Even so, there were too many. Varen watched from the edge of the chaos, his gaze fixed on Lyra. You can't save him, he said quietly. The bond will destroy him, and you. Lyra met his eyes, her voice trembling but sure. Then we'll burn together. The mark on her wrist flared, brighter than fire. Draven's roar answered it. And beneath the crimson moon, the war began. Chapter 9. The Blood Moon Battle. The forest burned red under the swollen moon. Smoke, silver dust, and the scent of blood coiled through the air like ghosts. Draven moved like shadow and flame, a storm of claws and fury. Every heartbeat shook the ground, every strike tore through enemies who once called him king. But for every LYCAN he felled, 2 more came. The council's warriors were endless, disciplined, merciless. Lyra ducked behind a fallen log, hands shaking as she reloaded the last silver round. Her heart pounded in time with the roar of battle. She could feel him through the bond, his rage, his agony, his fading strength. Draven, she whispered, voice cracking. He was losing himself. Through the blood haze, his golden eyes flickered toward her, and for one fleeting instant, he wasn't a beast. He was hers. Then a blade of silver light pierced his side. Draven staggered, howling. Varen stepped from the shadows, eyes cold, sword dripping with silver fire. It ends tonight, he said, voice calm, cruel. Draven lunged. Their clash split the earth, ancient power colliding with betrayal. Sparks rained like dying stars. Lyra ran forward before she could think. Stop. Please. But they were beyond hearing. The mark on her wrist burned, pulsing in rhythm with Draven's heartbeat. She fell to her knees, clutching it. If you die, I die, she gasped. Please listen to me. Varen's blade arced down, and Draven caught it with his bare hand. Silver sizzled against flesh, but he didn't flinch. His growl turned into words, low, ragged. You'll never touch her. In one swift motion, he wrenched the sword from Varen and slammed him to the ground. But before he could strike the final blow, Lyra screamed, no. Don't become what they say you are. The sound cut through his fury. The beast hesitated. That hesitation cost him everything. A spear of light shot from the treeline, the council's weapon, striking Draven straight through the chest. He fell to his knees, eyes wide, blood dark against his skin. No, Lyra cried, sprinting toward him. She dropped beside him, cradling his face. Stay with me. Please. Draven's hand trembled as he touched her cheek. His voice was barely a whisper. Run. Lyra. They'll use you. She shook her head fiercely, tears streaking her face. Not without you. The mark flared brighter, fiercer, as if trying to hold him here, refusing to let go. The air shimmered. Magic pulsed, wild and ancient. Varen staggered to his feet, clutching his wound, horror dawning in his eyes. The prophecy, it's real, he breathed. The bond of life and death. The light exploded. The forest went silent. When the dust cleared, the LYCANs were gone, scattered by the wave of power. Only Lyra and Draven remained at the heart of the crater, her arms still wrapped around him, her tears glowing softly in the moonlight. His eyes fluttered open one last time. "You broke the curse," he whispered. Then stillness. The mark on her wrist dimmed to a faint ember. And as dawn crept over the mountains, Lyra realized she was kneeling beside a legend and a promise unfinished. Chapter 10. The King Beneath the Moon. The night smelled of rain and blood. Lyra sat beside the dying fire, her fingers brushing against the sleeping wolf's fur, or rather, the man trapped within it. His breathing was ragged, uneven. Every exhale trembled like a beast chained too long. Draven's wounds were healing faster now, silver burns fading into faint scars. But the mark on her wrist still pulsed with a heat that made her dizzy. It felt alive, almost sentient. She had spent days hiding him in the old barn behind her clinic, patching his wounds, whispering prayers to a moon that never answered. Yet every night, her dreams grew stranger. She saw flashes, golden eyes, a throne of bone, a woman screaming beneath crimson skies. When he stirred, the air around her thickened. "Lyra," he rasped, voice low, rough, inhuman. She froze. You can talk?" His eyes opened, bright as molten amber. "I could always talk. But I didn't trust you." His gaze softened, just slightly. "Until now." Lyra swallowed. "You're healing faster than anything I've ever seen. I need to know what you are." He rose, his movements graceful but weighted with power. In the flickering light, his skin gleamed with faint marks, runes carved by old magic. "I am what your kind fears," he said quietly. "King of beasts. Bound by blood. Cursed by the moon." The words sent a chill down her spine. "King, you mean?" "Yes." He turned toward the open barn door, where the full moon hung heavy above the tree-line. "The Alpha King. Draven of the Blood Court." Lyra took a step back, the weight of his revelation crushing her breath. "You're saying I marked you? That can't be possible. I'm human." His gaze snapped to her, intense, unreadable. "That's what should make it impossible." He stepped closer, close enough that she could feel his heat. "Yet the mark burns, doesn't it?" She hesitated, then nodded. The mark flared brighter, reacting to his presence. Draven reached for her hand, his touch rough but reverent. "This is ancient magic. It shouldn't exist anymore. A human and an alpha, it breaks every law." Before she could reply, the wind outside shifted, carrying a low, mournful howl. Draven's expression darkened instantly. "They've found me," he growled. "The Council's scouts." Lyra's heart stuttered. "What do we do?" His eyes glowed fierce, golden, hungry. "We fight." The words sent a primal thrill through her. She didn't know why or how, but she felt his power building inside her too. The mark seared, spilling faint light across her palm. Draven turned toward her, half-shifted now, his voice echoing like thunder. "Stay behind me, Lyra. No matter what happens, don't break the bond." She nodded, though fear clawed at her throat. The barn door exploded inward. 3 shadowed figures stepped through, eyes gleaming silver, blades drawn. And the Alpha King, once hunted, once broken, bared his fangs to the night. For the first time in centuries, his roar shook the earth. Lyra's mark blazed in answer, 2 souls, bound by something the moon itself could not undo. Chapter 11. The Beast Unleashed. The night split open. The first assassin lunged through the smoke, claws gleaming, silver flashing in the moonlight. Draven moved faster than sight. 1 heartbeat, a blur of fur, fong, and fury, and the man was gone. Lyra gasped. The sound of bones cracking echoed through the barn, raw and merciless. Blood splattered across the hay, dark as ink beneath the flickering light. Her pulse thundered. She had seen death before. As a healer, she had watched life slip away, but never like this. Never by the hands of something both monstrous and heartbreakingly beautiful. Draven. Before she could finish, another shadow leapt at her from behind. A snarl tore through the air. Draven turned too late. Lyra ducked on instinct, grabbing the nearest thing she could find, a broken shovel handle, and swung. It connected with the attacker's jaw, just as Draven's claws sliced across the man's chest. For a heartbeat, everything froze. Then chaos. The barn burned with motion, growls, shouts, the metallic sting of blood in the air. Draven fought like something ancient, a storm given form. But there was no mercy in him now, only the savage need to protect what was his. Lyra felt it, through the bond. Every slash, every strike, it pulsed in her veins. His rage. His pain. His fear. When the last assassin fell, silence claimed the night. Draven stood in the center of the wreckage, chest heaving, claws dripping red. His eyes were no longer gold but black, the color of an eclipse. Draven. Her voice trembled. He didn't answer. His head tilted toward her, and for a terrifying moment, she saw no man at all, only the beast. Her mark flared, desperate, bright. Draven, stop. The sound of her voice broke through something deep inside him. His breath hitched. His shoulders shook. The claws retracted, and slowly, painfully, he dropped to his knees. Lyra ran to him, catching his face in her hands. His skin burned under her touch, fever hot. Hey, it's me. You're safe. He shuddered. His voice cracked, hoarse and broken. I almost killed you. She shook her head. You didn't. You protected me. He looked up, eyes glistening with something raw and human. That's the problem, Lyra. I'm not supposed to feel this. Her heart ached at the way he said it, like emotion itself was a curse. Maybe that's what makes you different, she whispered. Maybe it's what makes you still worth saving. For a long moment, neither spoke. Only the sound of rain on the shattered roof filled the silence. Then footsteps again. Distant. Dozens this time. Draven stiffened, every muscle tightening. The council knows. They'll come in force now. Lyra's throat tightened. Then we run. He turned to her, the faintest flicker of a smile ghosting across his lips. You're not ready for what's coming. She met his gaze, defiant. Neither are they. The bond pulsed again, fierce, electric, unbreakable. Draven reached for her hand, pulling her close enough to feel the wild rhythm of his heart. Then we run together, he whispered. Outside, thunder rolled, and under the bleeding moon, the Alpha King and the mortal who marked him vanished into the forest shadows. But the storm was only beginning. Chapter 12. The Wildland's Breath. Branches whipped past her face as Lyra ran, breath ragged in the cold night air. Behind her, she heard the thunder of paws, not just Draven's, but dozens more. The council's hounds. Her legs screamed for rest, but she didn't dare stop. Not while the forest burned with pursuit. Keep close, Draven growled, his voice a low rumble that sent chills down her spine. He was half-shifted now, claws glinting, eyes burning gold through the dark. I can't. Keep up, she gasped. Yes, you can, he barked. The mark won't let you fall behind. And just like that, warmth flooded her veins, strange, otherworldly, as if his heartbeat was pushing strength into hers. Her lungs expanded. Her stride steadied. What is happening to me? As the forest thickened, Draven suddenly stopped. This way. He caught her wrist, tugging her through a curtain of vines that concealed a narrow passage. The smell of moss and rain filled the air. Moments later, the passage opened into a hidden valley, quiet, untouched, shimmering with mist. A crescent moon hung low above a small lake that glowed faintly, its surface rippling with light like liquid silver. Lyra's breath caught. It's beautiful. Draven didn't look at the lake. His gaze stayed fixed on the tree-line. They won't find us here. For now. His voice was sharp, but she caught the tremor beneath it, the exhaustion, the pain. His shirt clung to him, soaked in sweat and streaked with blood. Sit, she said softly. He frowned, but when she placed a gentle hand on his chest, he obeyed. The moment her skin touched his muscles tensed, a shudder ran through him, primal and involuntary. The mark on her wrist flared. "Your wounds, they're healing slower," she murmured. "Silver burns deeper when the heart's divided," he muttered. She looked up. "What do you mean?" He hesitated. Then, quietly, the bond. "It's making me weaker and stronger at the same time. I can feel your fear inside me, and it confuses the beast." Lyra swallowed. "I didn't mean to cause this." "You didn't." His gaze softened, gold fading to amber. "You saved me." Silence stretched between them, heavy charged. Her fingers brushed his skin again, tracing the edge of an old scar across his chest. "You have so many wounds," she whispered. "They're reminders," he said, "of everyone I failed to protect." Something inside her cracked at the sorrow in his tone. "You don't have to carry it alone anymore." The words slipped out before she could stop them. His eyes darkened. "You don't understand what you're offering." "Maybe not," she said quietly, "but I'm not walking away." For a long moment, the only sound was their breathing. The forest itself seemed to hold its breath, as if the world waited for his reply. Then his hand rose, trembling, and cupped her face. His thumb brushed her lower lip. "Lyra," his voice was low, almost reverent. "You should be afraid of me." She met his gaze. "Maybe I am. But I'm more afraid of what happens if I lose you." The air thickened between them, heat, danger, something ancient stirring. Her mark pulsed, answering his. The lake light shimmered brighter, wrapping them in silver fire. Draven's control snapped, just for a heartbeat. His lips brushed hers, brief, fierce, a promise and a warning in one. When he pulled back, his breath came uneven. "If they find us, they'll kill you first. Then we make sure they don't." He huffed a low, almost disbelieving laugh, the first she'd ever heard from him. "You really are trouble. Maybe that's why the moon chose me." He stared at her for a moment longer, then rose. "Rest while you can. When dawn comes, we move." But as she watched him disappear into the shadows to stand guard, Lyra's heart whispered the truth she was too afraid to say aloud. "It's already too late. I'm his, whether he wants it or not." And deep in the forest, something ancient howled, a sound that promised the storm was far from over. Chapter 13. The Dawn Betrayal. The first rays of dawn broke through the fog, slicing through the forest like blades of gold. Lyra stirred where she lay near the lake, the morning chill biting at her skin. The world was quiet, too quiet. Draven hadn't moved all night. He stood at the edge of the clearing, back to her, eyes fixed on the horizon. The muscles in his shoulders were tense, carved from both exhaustion and vigilance. "Did you sleep at all?" she whispered. He didn't turn. "Wolves don't rest when the wind smells of blood." Her stomach twisted. "You think they found us?" "I know they did." Before she could ask how, the silence shattered. An arrow whistled through the air, silver-tipped, and struck the ground inches from her hand. "Down!" Draven roared, spinning around, his arms snapping out to pull her behind him. The next second, the clearing erupted. Figures emerged from the mist, armored LYCANs, their eyes glowing with council sigils. And at their head, a face Draven knew. Kale. Lyra caught the sharp intake of his breath. "Who is that?" Draven's voice was a low growl. "My second. My brother." Kale stepped forward, smirking. "Brother? You forfeited that title the day you let a human mark you." Draven's claws flexed. "You betrayed your king." Kale's laugh was hollow. "No, Draven. You betrayed our kind. You were supposed to lead us, not fall to her spell." The word her dripped with venom. Lyra felt the tension snap between them, centuries of loyalty unraveling in seconds. "Draven, don't." But it was too late. He moved. Their collision shook the ground, claws slashing, growls echoing through the trees. Sparks of silver and red scattered like rain. Lyra watched in horror as Draven overpowered Kale, pinning him to the earth. His claws hovered at his brother's throat. "Why?" he snarled. "Why hand me to the council?" Kale spat blood, smiling through the pain. "Because you're not the savior they think you are. You're the curse, Draven." And his eyes flicked toward Lyra. "She's the key that will destroy us all." Something inside Draven shattered at those words. His hand trembled. Lyra stepped forward, voice trembling. Draven, stop. Don't let him turn you into what he wants you to be. Her voice reached him, but so did Kale's final whisper. Do you really think she'll stay when she sees what you are? That broke him. A growl ripped from Draven's chest, primal and thunderous. He threw Kale back, the impact cracking a tree in half. Lyra ran to him, grabbing his arm. Draven, look at me. He did, eyes wild, beast barely caged. He would have killed you. I know, she whispered, pressing her palm to his cheek. But if you kill him, you lose yourself. Her touch trembled against his skin, soft, human, pure. And, just like that, the fury ebbed. Draven's claws retracted. Kale slumped to the ground, unconscious but alive. Lyra exhaled shakily. We have to go. Now. Draven didn't move. His gaze stayed on Kale's body, haunted. He wasn't lying. The bond, it's breaking something inside me. Something old. What do you mean? The blood pact. The magic that keeps the realms apart. Every time we touch, I feel it weakening. Her heart pounded. So, if it breaks? He met her gaze, eyes like molten gold. Then the worlds collide. And everything burns. The air seemed to still, the weight of fate pressing down on them both. Then we'll find a way to stop it, Lyra whispered. Together. Draven hesitated, then, slowly, he nodded. But deep down, he knew the truth. The only way to save her might be to let her go. And as they vanished into the trees once more, Kale's eyes fluttered open, a faint smirk curling his lips. Run, brother, he whispered into the dirt. The council's already waiting. Chapter 14. The Witch of the Hollow. The forest grew darker the deeper they went. The air was thick, not with fog, but with magic. It hummed beneath the bark of the trees and shimmered faintly in the air, as if the forest itself breathed. Lyra's hand brushed against Draven's arm. Are you sure this is the way? His golden eyes flickered toward her. No, but she'll find us if she wants to. Moments later, the forest answered. Wind swirled, cold and sudden. The trees groaned as a low laugh echoed through the shadows. Well, the voice was soft, feminine, ageless. The fallen king and the cursed mortal. A figure stepped from the mist, tall, cloaked in tattered black, her eyes a molten violet. She was neither young nor old. Her beauty was wrong, too perfect, like carved moonlight. Lyra's throat tightened. You're her, the witch. The woman smiled faintly. Asha. Which is such a small word for such a long life. Draven tensed. You knew we'd come. I knew the mark would awaken again, she said. And that when it did, the world would start to bleed. The fire crackled in the hollow between them. The sound of it was almost like a heartbeat, slow, steady, ominous. Lyra stepped forward. Then tell us what it means. Why it burns when we touch. Why his enemies can feel it. Asha tilted her head. Because your souls were never meant to meet. The moon goddess bound the LYCAN kings long ago to the blood pact. It keeps their hunger controlled, their power sealed. But when compassion breaks the cycle of death, when a mortal shows mercy to the beast, the bond awakens again. Lyra frowned. You're saying, I broke a curse. The witch's smile sharpened. You unmade it. Draven's growl rumbled low. And what happens now? Now, Asha whispered, stepping closer, the curse becomes prophecy. The blood moon rises soon. If the mark is not severed before then, the seal between worlds will break, and every LYCAN will lose their mind to the beast within. Silence. Lyra's heart stuttered. So we end the mark, she glanced at Draven. You die. He didn't deny it. Asha turned her gaze to him. The choice is yours, Alpha King. Save the mortal world, or save your heart. Draven's jaw clenched, the firelight catching in his eyes. There has to be another way. Perhaps, Asha murmured. But every path leads through blood. The flames flared, images forming in the smoke. Lyra saw a silver moon dripping red, wolves tearing through burning cities, and a dark figure chained to the ground, Draven. She gasped. That's not the future. That's the price, Asha said softly. Draven stepped forward, his voice low, dangerous. If there's a way to break the blood pact without killing her, tell me. Asha's violet eyes glimmered. There is one path. But it demands a sacrifice, not of life, but of memory. Lyra's breath caught. Memory. If she forgets you, the witch whispered, the mark will fade. The worlds will heal. And you, Draven, will live alone. The words struck harder than any blade. For a long moment, no one spoke. Only the fire crackled, throwing shadows across their faces. Lyra's voice trembled. You're asking him to let me forget him? Asha's smile was almost kind. I'm not asking. Fate is. The wind howled through the hollow, carrying with it the scent of rain and sorrow. Draven's hands curled into fists. No, Draven. No. His voice thundered through the forest. She is mine. Marked or not, I will not let the gods decide what we are. Lyra reached for him, her heart breaking at the raw pain in his voice. Then we'll fight it together. Asha's gaze softened, almost pitying. Love has always been the weapon and the wound. The fire dimmed. The witch faded into the mist. And when silence returned, Draven whispered, she's right. Lyra's voice broke. Then what do we do? He looked toward the blood-red dawn breaking through the trees. We prepare for war. Chapter 15. Training the Mortal. The days that followed were carved from fire and fear. The blood moon was 3 nights away. Its pull already throbbed in Draven's veins like molten silver. Every sunrise, his control frayed a little more. Every night, the beasts stirred closer to the surface. They camped at the edge of the shadowed vale, a barren field ringed by blackened trees, once a battlefield where Draven had slain hundreds. Now it was their refuge. Lyra tightened the bandage around her wrist, her fingers trembling. You're sure about this? Draven's golden eyes glinted in the dawnlight. If they find us unprepared, you'll die before the first howl. Her lips curved in a shaky smile. So we train. He nodded once. We train. The first lesson was not strength, it was fear. Draven circled her, barefoot on the frostbitten ground. His movements were silent, predatory. Fear is a weapon, he said. If you let it rule you, you're prey. But if you wield it, it makes you unpredictable. He lunged. Lyra gasped and ducked, barely missing his strike. She stumbled, caught herself, and turned, her eyes blazing. Again. This time, when he came at her, she didn't dodge. She caught his arm, twisting like he'd shown her earlier. His balance shifted, and for the first time, she threw the Alpha King to the ground. Draven stared up at her, stunned. Then laughter, deep and raw, escaped him. Lyra blinked. What's so funny? He sat up slowly, his eyes burning with pride. You fight like a wolf. Night came early in the vale. They sat by the fire, the world around them quiet except for the crackle of flames. Lyra glanced at the faint scar along his shoulder. You never told me how you got that. Draven's gaze softened. First war I ever led. I was young. Thought immortality meant invincibility. The blade missed my heart by an inch. She reached out, fingertips brushing the scar. You've carried every battle alone. His voice was low, rough. Until you. The firelight flickered against their faces, heat meeting heat, silence stretching until it broke beneath the weight of everything unsaid. When his hand cupped her cheek, the mark between them flared. Not with pain this time, but with light, soft, golden, alive. Lyra whispered, Does it always feel like this? Draven's breath hitched. Only when I forget I'm cursed. Her lips met his hesitant, then hungry. The kiss was both a promise and a defiance of fate. For a heartbeat, the world held its breath. Then the mark burned bright, a searing pulse that knocked them apart. Lyra gasped. What was that? Draven's voice was grim. The blood moon. It's starting to rise. Far across the valley, the LYCAN horn sounded low, mournful, and furious. Draven stood, his expression hardening. They've found us. Lyra rose beside him, heart pounding. How many? He closed his eyes, sensing through the mark. Too many. The ground trembled beneath their feet. The night air filled with howls. Draven turned to her, his beast flickering beneath his skin. Lyra, whatever happens, don't let them touch you. The mark will react. She met his gaze, unflinching. Then I guess they'll have to go through me first. For a moment, something like pride flickered in his eyes, the kind only a king could feel for his equal. He nodded once. Then we fight. As he shifted, bones cracking, silver fur ripping through skin, Lyra drew the silver dagger he'd given her. The moon rose, fat and red above the tree, lean, ancient, hungry, watching. The blood moon had begun. Chapter 16. The Battle of the Blood Moon. The first howl split the night like a blade. Then came another. And another. Until the forest itself seemed to scream. Lyra pressed her back against the cold stone of a ruined wall, heart hammering in her chest. The air reeked of blood and ozone, the sharp scent of supernatural fury. She could feel Draven's power pulsing through the bond, hot, feral, uncontrollable. The moon burned crimson above the treetops, its glow drenching the battlefield in a red haze. Then, from the darkness, a massive silver wolf tore through the trees. Draven. Even in his monstrous form, she knew him. The way he moved, the golden fire in his eyes, the rage that burned for her and her alone. Draven, she cried. But he didn't hear her. The beast had taken the throne. The rival LYCANs flooded into the vale, black-furred brutes with eyes like coals and weapons made of silver bone. Draven met them head-on. He was a storm of fur and fang, ripping through their ranks with terrifying precision. But every kill pushed him closer to madness. The mark on Lyra's wrist blazed hotter with every scream, every life ended. She felt his pain, his fury, his hunger, and it was tearing him apart. "Stop," she screamed, running toward him. "Draven, stop." A clawed hand seized her from behind. She spun, dagger flashing, and buried it in a LYCAN's throat. The creature fell, black blood hissing against the ground. More came. 10. 20. Lyra fought like a cornered flame, fast and wild. Every strike Draven had taught her came back to her now, muscle memory and desperation. She didn't realize she was glowing until the third wolf lunged. The mark flared like lightning. The wolf flew backward, screaming as if burned by sunlight. Lyra froze. What? The air around her shimmered, threads of golden light unfurling from her skin like living fire. The mark wasn't just reacting, it was awakening. Draven's roar cut through the battlefield, a sound of pure agony. He turned toward her, golden eyes gone molten white. The beast was no longer in control, it was consuming him. Lyra ran forward, ignoring the blood, the bodies, the chaos. "Draven, listen to me. It's me." He lunged. The earth cracked beneath the impact as she dove aside, his claws slicing through the air where she'd stood. "Please," she whispered, trembling. "Don't make me do this." But the beast didn't know her name anymore. Lyra raised her dagger, tears burning her eyes. "You told me to fight." The blade gleamed with moonlight. She plunged it into the ground, through the center of their glowing bond mark. A shockwave exploded outward, gold against red, throwing wolves in every direction. Draven froze mid-lunge. His eyes flickered. For a heartbeat, the beast faltered, and the man inside clawed his way back. "Lyra," he rasped, voice raw, human again. "Don't, stop." She reached for him, but the ground shuddered, splitting open beneath them. Above the chaos, Kale watched from a cliff, his black armor gleaming in the moonlight. In his hand, the vial shimmered, a piece of Lyra's mark, stolen with forbidden magic. He uncorked it. The light inside flared, then bled black. "Power born of love," he murmured, voice echoing like thunder. "Power wasted on a mortal." He poured it into a carved obsidian stone. The sigils ignited. Far below, Draven arched in pain, his veins glowing as if molten gold had turned to poison. Lyra screamed his name. Kale smiled coldly. "The blood moon shall crown a new king." The sky split open, lightning tearing through clouds of crimson. The mark on Lyra's arm blazed white-hot, and then darkness. When she woke, the battlefield was quiet. Ash and blood carpeted the ground. The wolves were gone. Only the moon remained, pale again, weeping light through the clearing smoke. Draven lay motionless beside her, human once more, his chest rising shallowly. Lyra pressed her trembling hands to his heart. "Don't you dare leave me." The mark between them flickered faintly, not gone, but weak, fading. She bent low, whispering through her tears, "I found you once. I'll find you again." His lips moved, barely audible. "Lyra, run!" Before she could answer, a shadow fell over them. Kale. The fallen Beta smirked, eyes burning with stolen power. "The king is dead," he said softly. "Long live the god." Chapter 17. The Shadow King's Prison. Lyra woke to the sound of dripping water. Drip, drip. Each drop echoed through the dark like a heartbeat. Her wrists burned where the silver cuffs bit into her skin. The air was cold, damp, heavy, and thick with the scent of blood and stone. She tried to move, but the chains clinked, short and cruel. Then it hit her, the bond. Or what was left of it. Faint. Flickering. But still there. "Draven," she whispered, voice breaking. No answer. Only the hum of distant magic, low and pulsing, like the growl of something ancient beneath the earth. Moments later, torches flared to life, black fire twisting up iron sconces. The door creaked open and Kale stepped through. Gone was the loyal Beta she once knew. His hair, once silver-white, now shimmered with strands of shadow. His eyes burned like twin coals, pupils slitted, his aura so strong it made the chains tremble. "Well," he said softly, almost fondly. "The moon's chosen girl finally wakes." Lyra glared at him. "Where is he?" Kale smiled, slow and sharp. "You mean Draven?" He crouched before her, tilting her chin up with one cold finger. "Your precious king is dying. The bond bleeds him dry." She jerked away, fury flashing through the exhaustion. "You're lying." He laughed, but it wasn't human anymore, the sound warped, echoing like metal dragged through stone. "I warned him. Compassion would destroy him." And it did. Her heart twisted, but she didn't show it. "You did this because you wanted his throne." Kale's expression darkened. "No. I did this because he was never meant to rule." He rose, the air around him vibrating. "A beast pretending to be a man. A man pretending to be a god. I'll finish what he couldn't, I'll save our kind." "By killing them?" He smiled again. "No, Lyra. By remaking them." He extended his hand, and the room shifted. The walls rippled, ancient runes glowing faintly. In the center, a circle of obsidian stone pulsed with the same light as her mark. Lyra's pulse raced. "What is this?" Kale stepped into the circle. "The shadow rite. The old magic the council buried, the power of gods chained by wolves." His gaze cut through her. "Your bond with Draven woke it. Your compassion, your weakness, broke the seal." She shook her head, trembling. "You can't control that magic." "Oh, I already do." He raised his palm, her mark blazed in response, white light turning black. Pain seared through her wrist. She screamed. The light connected them like a tether, her agony feeding his strength. Kale inhaled, power surging through him. "You see, Lyra," he murmured. "Even your love serves me now." As the pain reached its peak, something shifted in her mind, a whisper. Soft. Familiar. "Lyra." Her breath hitched. "Draven?" The whisper came again, weak but sure. "Hold on. I'm coming." Kale frowned, sensing the change. "What did you say?" Lyra met his gaze, tears glinting like fire. "You'll never win." "Not while he's still breathing." Kale's hand shot forward, gripping her throat. "Then I'll fix that." Before he could speak another word, the torches flared white, blinding light flooding the chamber. The ground cracked beneath them, magic surging out of control. Kale roared in fury, stumbling back. Lyra gasped as her chain snapped. The mark on her wrist blazed gold again, brighter than before, pure and defiant. The whisper in her head grew stronger. "Run, Lyra." And she did. She bolted through the shattered doorway, barefoot and bleeding, down endless corridors of black stone. The air crackled with Kale's fury behind her. "Lyra!" His roar shook the walls. But she didn't stop. She couldn't. Her lungs burned, her vision swam. But she kept moving, guided by the bond, by faith, by the faint echo of Draven's heartbeat calling her home. Chapter 18: The Beast and the Bond. The crimson dawn bled across the horizon. The forest shivered beneath its light, branches whispering, leaves trembling as if the earth itself feared what walked within it. Lyra stumbled through the undergrowth, lungs burning, blood streaking down her arm where the shadow cuffs had torn her skin. Every step hurt, but she didn't stop. Couldn't. Because she could feel him. With every heartbeat, the bond pulsed stronger. And then she saw him. Draven stood at the cliff's edge, his back to her. His bare skin shimmered with runes of gold and black light and darkness twined across his shoulders like living flame. His hair, once dark silver, now spilled to his shoulders in tangled streaks of moonlight and shadow. For a moment, she couldn't breathe. Draven. He turned slowly, and her world tilted. His eyes were no longer fully human. The left glowed a deep amber, but the right, it burned with the same scarlet light that haunted Kale. He looked at her, truly looked, and a low growl rolled from his chest. "You shouldn't be here." Lyra froze, heart pounding. "You said you were coming for me." His jaw clenched. "That was before I realized what I've become." He stepped closer, massive, powerful, dangerous. Yet beneath the feral sharpness in his movements, she could still feel the man inside him. "I can't control it anymore," he said quietly, voice thick with pain. "The mark, our bond, it's twisted. The magic that Kale stole is inside me now." Lyra shook her head. "No, it's not twisted. It's trying to balance you." His laughter was broken, bitter. "Balance? Look at me, Lyra." His claws glinted in the blood-red light. "I slaughtered half the council in my sleep. My wolves fear me. The moon won't answer my call. I am the very curse I tried to end." She stepped forward, trembling but unyielding. "Then let me help you." "You can't." "I already did once." The silence that followed was heavy charged. The air between them thickened, humming with the pull of their souls. And, just like that, everything changed. Without warning, the mark on her wrist flared. His chest responded, the twin mark burning bright through his skin. Her breath caught. His eyes darkened. The world narrowed to the space between them, to the fire that leapt between two souls bound by fate. "Lyra," he whispered, as if her name itself was pain. She reached up, fingers brushing his cheek. "You're still in there." "I feel it." He closed his eyes, and for a heartbeat, the beast inside him stilled. But then, the bond snapped tight. Pain lanced through both of them, a violent surge of light and shadow. The ground cracked beneath their feet. Trees shuddered. The air pulsed with raw magic. Draven staggered back, eyes wild. "He's inside me." "Kale, he's using the bond." A whisper slithered through the wind, cold and cruel. "Did you think you could escape me, brother?" Lyra gasped, clutching her chest as Kale's voice echoed in her mind. The bond twisted again, dark tendrils wrapping around her heart. Draven dropped to his knees, snarling, "Get out." But Kale only laughed, a sound that made the trees wilt. "You opened the door when you took her mark. You made me eternal." The ground split open. Black fire erupted, forming a circle around them. Lyra fell to her knees beside Draven, gripping his arm. "Fight him." He looked at her, face contorted in agony. "I can't, he's stronger." "Yes, you can," she whispered, tears streaking down her cheeks. "Because you're not alone this time." She pressed her hand to his chest. The mark between them blazed gold, light spilling out in waves that shattered the black flame. Kale screamed, his voice tearing through the sky. The light grew brighter, fierce, unyielding. And then silence. When the light faded, the forest lay still. Smoke curled around them, the ground still glowing with heat. Draven slumped forward, breathing hard. His claws retracted, his eyes flickered back to amber. He looked up at her, trembling, vulnerable. You pulled him out of me." Lyra smiled weakly. "No, we did." He reached for her, fingers brushing her jaw. "You could have run." "I told you once," she whispered. "You're not a monster, Draven. You're my king." The words broke him. He pulled her into his arms not as the Alpha King, but as a man finally finding peace. For the first time in years, he let himself breathe. It's not over. Chapter 19. The Luna's Trial. The moon rose blood-red over the valley. Its light shimmered across the broken ruins of the council's fortress, the place where the curse had first been born and where it would end. Wolves gathered in the thousands, their howls echoing like thunder through the mountains. From the shadows of every clan, every border, every bloodline, they came. Even those who once swore fealty to Kale now stood beneath Draven's banner. The king had returned. And tonight, the moon would choose its true Luna. Lyra stood beside Draven atop the obsidian rise, the silver crest of the LYCAN king blazing behind them. She wore ceremonial armor, white leather interlaced with moonsteel, her hair braided with wolfbone and starlight threads. The mark on her wrist glowed fiercely in the darkness. Draven, in contrast, looked every bit the war-born god he had become, shirtless beneath a black cloak, silver runes carved across his skin. His eyes, both gold and red, flickered like twin fires. The wolves below knelt in reverence, bowing their heads. But not all. From the far end of the valley, a deep, mocking laugh rolled across the air. Kale stepped up from the shadows, his form no longer human, his body a twisting mass of smoke and flame, wearing his old crown of bone and blood. "You think the moon will bless this farce?" Kale sneered. "A human Luna? The gods will choke on their own curse before they accept her." Lyra lifted her chin. "The gods don't decide love. We do." The red moon pulsed once, twice, then split into two beams of light that struck the ground between them. A circle of ancient runes flared to life, the Luna's Trial. Every ruler of the LYCAN bloodline had faced this test to claim their reign. But this time, the gods twisted the rules. If Lyra failed, her bond with Draven would break, and Kale would ascend in his brother's place. Draven turned to her, his voice low. "You don't have to do this." Lyra met his gaze, steady, fearless. "Yes, I do. If I don't, every life you fought for dies tonight." Before he could answer, the magic seized her. The world dissolved. Lyra found herself standing in a dreamlike glade beneath a silver moon. Shadows formed around her, wolves of light and darkness, whispering in tongues older than time. To be Luna, the first spirit intoned, you must prove heart over fear, truth over power, and love over fate. 3 trials. 3 chances. The scene shifted. She was back in her childhood home, surrounded by fire. Her mother's voice cried for her to run. Her body shook with terror. She closed her eyes, whispering, "I am not the frightened girl I was." The fire stilled. The vision faded. Next, she saw Draven chained, eyes red with the beast's fury. He roared at her, "I will kill you." Lyra stepped forward anyway, pressing her hand to his chest. "Then I'll die with you." The chain shattered. The final vision broke her. Kale appeared, holding Draven's heart in his hand, smiling. "Save him," the voice of the moon whispered, "but lose yourself." "Save yourself and doom him." Tears streamed down her cheeks. "No, I won't choose between us. We're stronger together." She reached for Draven, light burst from her mark, fusing their souls in a blinding wave that tore the dream apart. When Lyra's eyes opened, she was glowing. Wings of moonlight arched from her back, the mark blazing across her entire body. The wolves gasped, bowing instinctively. Even Kale stepped back, eyes wide. Draven looked at her like a man seeing divinity itself. "Lyra." She smiled faintly. "The moon chose Draven. And it chose us." Kale roared in rage, his power ripping the sky open. Lightning struck the valley, fire burst from the ground. "Then die as gods," he bellowed. Draven shifted mid-leap, his silver wolf colliding with Kale's monstrous form in an explosion of force. Wolves charged from every side, claws, fangs, and fury lighting the night. Lyra's power flared. She raised her hands, sending waves of pure moonlight through the battlefield. Every wolf marked by Kale screamed as the curse burned away. The valley became chaos, a storm of light and shadow. Kale pinned Draven against the rocks, claws sinking deep. "You never deserved the crown." Draven snarled back, blood dripping from his mouth. You never deserved to live in the same world as her. Lyra screamed, her wings shattered into shards of light that speared Cale's chest. He roared, grabbing her by the throat. The mark between the three of them flared, a triangle of power locking them in place. Draven met her gaze. Now, Lyra. Finish it. She pressed her palm to his heart and whispered the ancient vow. By the moon's fire and love's blood, I bind the darkness to its end. Light erupted, white, wild, divine. Cale's scream shook the mountains. His body turned to ash, scattering into the wind. Silence. Then a single wolf howled. Another answered. And then the V. Chapter 20. The Moon's Shadow. The forest was silent again. For the first time in centuries, no war drums echoed through the mountains. The rivers, once choked with blood, ran clear beneath the moon's pale gaze. And yet, peace had a pulse, fragile, uncertain, waiting to be tested. Lyra walked through the great hall of the obsidian palace, her bare feet whispering against the polished stone. Tapestries once shredded by battle now hung restored, symbols of every pack reunited under one crest, a silver wolf entwined with a crescent moon. Outside, the packs feasted beneath the stars, their howls rising not in challenge, but in celebration. Draven watched from the balcony, his figure half-lit by moonlight. His crown, a ring of silver vines, rested beside him untouched. He still preferred the wild freedom of the woods to the throne's cold metal. When Lyra joined him, he smiled faintly. You look at peace, she said softly. I'm learning to be, he replied. But peace is strange after so much war. She leaned against him, feeling the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. Maybe peace isn't the absence of war. Maybe it's learning not to be ruled by it. His hand brushed the mark on her wrist. Wise words for a Luna who once trembled at the sight of blood. Lyra smirked. That girl's gone. As the moon reached its zenith, a low rumble trembled through the earth. Draven stiffened. Did you feel that? Lyra nodded. The mark on her skin pulsed faintly. Not in warning, but in recognition. From the horizon, a thin beam of light rose, not white, but black, rippling like smoke through the stars. The blood packs ashes, Draven murmured. Cale's body was burned there. Lyra's stomach turned. You said his spirit was gone. I said he was defeated, Draven corrected, eyes narrowing. But the gods don't let power die easily. They rode through the forest before dawn, the mist curling around their wolves like ghostly fingers. The place where Cale had fallen was a wasteland now, trees withered, ground cracked, the air thick with sulfur. At the center, the remnants of the battle still lingered, shards of Draven's silver runes, the faint imprint of Lyra's moonlight. And in the midst of it, a single obsidian stone pulsed faintly with red light. Lyra knelt beside it. What is it? Draven crouched beside her, his expression grim. Not what. Who? The stone trembled, and a voice whispered from within. You broke the curse, but not the cycle. Lyra's breath caught. The voice wasn't Cale's. It was older, colder, the voice that had created the curse in the first place. The moon does not bless mortals without cost. The bond has awakened something far beyond your blood. The stone cracked, a flash of shadow burst outward, disappearing into the sky like smoke. When the silence settled again, Lyra's mark no longer glowed gold. It shimmered dark silver, edged with black veins. Draven reached for her, but she stepped back, trembling. Draven, what's happening to me? He took her hands, his gaze fierce. You're mine, the gods won't take you. Not again. Lyra's voice was a whisper. It's not the gods I fear anymore. It's what they've made of me. A sudden gust of wind swept through the clearing, scattering ash and petals alike. When Lyra looked up, the moon above them had changed a half silver, half shadow. Back at the palace, the elder seer awaited them, her eyes clouded with vision. The moon's light and darkness have merged, she said. When the next eclipse falls, the Luna's heart will decide the fate of all who bear the mark. Lyra's pulse quickened. The fate of all? The seer nodded. The mark was never meant for one realm alone. It binds not only wolves, but gods. Draven's joy tightened. Then we'll defy them again, together. The seer's lips curved into a faint, knowing smile. You may have no choice. The gods are watching now, and love, child, has always been their most dangerous weapon. That night, Lyra stood alone on the balcony, the twin-colored moon bathing her in its glow. Her reflection shimmered faintly in the silver glass, and for a heartbeat, she saw another version of herself staring back, one with eyes of shadow and a crown of night. A whisper brushed her ear, the same ancient voice. The war is over, Luna. But the story has just begun. She turned toward the horizon, her mark pulsing like a heartbeat. Somewhere far away, thunder rolled across the mountains. And beneath the shadowed moon, Lyra whispered into the wind. Then let them come.